Up next, we have Corey Stewart. Corey is running for Senate here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. He is also the chairman of the Prince William County Supervisor Board. And so he is joining us now. Corey Stewart, welcome.
Hey, Martha, how are you doing?
Good morning. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I wanted to just get right into it. First of all, thank you for joining us, and tell us, why are you running? And if you do win, how are you going to beat Kane? And you can just start at it, and then I'll ask you a few other questions along the way.
Well, I'm running because Donald Trump needs support in the United States Senate. We're one vote shy of full repeal of Obamacare. We're one vote shy of building the wall on the southern border. And we need a strong supporter of President Trump, somebody who we know is going to be loyal to the president, somebody who's going to be able to withstand the controversies that have come, somebody that has been able to withstand controversy himself, and not back down. And that's what I've been able to do. And I'm a winner. I've been able to win in Northern Virginia 5 times up here. No other candidate can say that. In fact, no other Republican in Virginia has been able to do that. I'm the last countywide elected Republican in Northern Virginia. I represent almost 500,000 people. I've won that election 4 times. So if people are looking for a fighter, somebody who will strongly support the president, and somebody who will give a win to the Republican Party in Virginia in November, Corey Stewart's the guy.
Okay, and, let me ask you this. So, there's been a lot of discussion about mosques, and I was hoping you could take a moment to talk about this issue of mosques, and let the viewers know what that's all about. There's commercials and so forth out there, and I was hoping you could address that.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate that. There's, we've had there's in Prince William County several years ago, we approved a church, several churches actually, but one in particular, we approved the church in our so-called rural area. And in that, when we approved it, we said, the rural area of the county is an appropriate place for a religious institution, and that if you do have it there, it should have sewer as opposed to a septic system. So at that point, the die was cast, and then last year, a mosque came around and wanted to build a mosque just down the road from the church. So of course, at that point, we couldn't have deny the mosque after we just approved the church, and so that was the situation we were in. And this is not unusual. This has been happening around the country, and in Henrico County, for example, and also in Culpeper, similar situations where the boards there tried to treat the mosque differently from the other religious institutions, the churches, and they got sued, and they were and they lost. So we are in a similar situation in Prince William County.
Well, why do you think there is so much consternation out there about the mosque situation?
Well, I think that people are concerned. It's for various reasons, and there are legitimate reasons to be concerned about the traffic and so forth, and disturbing the rural area. But ultimately what it comes down to is your Board of Supervisors can't treat one type of religion differently from another. If you do, you get sued. It's very simple. We knew that if we did do that, we would have been sued, and not only would we have lost, and you would have had the mosque regardless, but taxpayers would have ended up paying millions of dollars in legal fees and other fees and payments over to the mosque. So that would have been bad for the taxpayers. So that's the situation, and we're not unusual in that regard.
No, and I appreciate you explaining all of that. The other thing I wanted to bring up, because look, there's we have a problem here in the Commonwealth, and that problem is Nathan Nathan Larson as well. But then there's also another fellow here that we need to discuss, because there's been a lot of conversation about Pale Nechlin. I'm probably mispronouncing his name.
Paul Nehlen.
Paul Nehlen, yes. And, so there's been a lot of talk about, I guess, you endorsing or supporting him. And, of course, that has a lot of voters really questioning what that's all about. So I was hoping that you could explain, what that's about, where that's coming from, and let us hear from you.
Well, this is the Freitas campaign trying to claim that I'm a racist because I said nice things about Paul Nehlen. Now, here's the facts. Paul Nehlen ran against Paul Ryan in Wisconsin in 2016. So a lot of people had very nice things to say about Paul Nehlen, including President Trump, including Sarah Palin and Ann Coulter. And myself, we all had nice things to say, and he was kind of a conservative hero to a lot of people because he took on Paul Ryan, the symbol really of the establishment. After he was defeated, then sometime earlier this year, he just kind of cracked up and he started saying all kinds of crazy things, really terrible things. And at that point, we all distanced ourselves from Paul Nehlen, including the president, myself, and Steve Bannon and others. So we wanted nothing to do with him anymore. But of course, you have, from the past, you have all these things where we were saying nice things about him. And so the Freitas campaign is trying to, say, oh, gosh, Corey must be a racist because he supported that guy. Well, no. Back then, that guy, Nehlen wasn't saying all those terrible things. So, if you're the Freitas campaign is trying to claim that I and the president and Sarah Palin and Ann Coulter and others are racist because we supported the guy. But back then, Nehlen was not saying those types of things.
I haven't heard anybody say anything about, the president or anybody in the administration, or any of the celebrities mentioned supporting him now. I think those were comments that were made in support of him from way back when. Before now. I think, I haven't heard anybody claim that the president supports him now or claim that the president is racist now or ever was because of his support of this candidate. And I haven't seen the Freitas campaign point a finger at you either for this. I just really asked because I wanted to know.
Yeah, this is all coming from the Freitas campaign. In fact, it's coming from Nick Freitas himself. Claiming that, anybody who said nice things about Paul Nehlen is a racist, when, of course, that was before the guy cracked up and started, saying all kinds of terrible things.
Well, I'm going to let you see. Is there anything else you would like to say? Just for the record, I've never heard anybody from the Freitas campaign point a finger at you for making racist comments, so I have not heard it. But is there anything else that you want to share with the voters? I know you have a tight schedule and you have another show you have to get on, but wanted to see if there's anything else you'd like to say to the voters.
Well, I think it's important that we nominate somebody who's actually been able to win. Here's the problem. The Republican Party has been nominating people for the last 9 years who have had no experience at winning in Northern Virginia, and we've been losing. And the Republican Party has been nominating establishment people and people backed by the establishment, and they've been losing. That's because you have to have a couple things. Number one, you have to have a base in Northern Virginia. It does no good to win in the rest of the state if you cannot win in Northern Virginia if you don't have a base there. I do. I can win there. I've already proven it that I can because I've already done it 4 times countywide. And then the next thing is this, is that, I've been strongly supportive of the president since day one. You know that. And we've been, I've been on his side through thick and thin, no matter what it's taken. I'll be strongly supportive. And here's the other thing. You got to have a fighter. You got to be somebody who's willing to stand up on the controversial issues. I've been able to do that. I don't run away from controversy with this, this. By the way, I might add that E.W. Jackson has said that he wants to remove historical monuments and place them in museums. Now, I completely disagree with that. I stood up even when no other politician would stand up against the removal of these monuments. I think you need to leave your history alone. We have great history here in Virginia. You've got to respect it and support it and make sure that you get. At the end of the day, you need a fighter. That's who we need to nominate.
And look, just for the record, I don't believe we should be removing our monuments. I believe they're part of our American history, and they shouldn't be removed. But EW is on the line, and I will talk to him about that as well. Thank you so much, Corey Stewart. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks a lot, Martha.
Take care.